you so much. Thank you for putting in your instructions in the chat. If we do see as we move along that we do not have members that are connecting that need interpretation, we will go ahead and release our interpreters. Tonight, we are very excited to come back again. Please forgive me for the faux pas last week. I was recovering from a procedure and it went a little bit left that night where I missed starting the meeting on time, etc. But with that being said, I'm grateful for the fathers who were able to show up tonight to speak about from isolation to connection, advocacy, support, and family understanding with our dad dialogues and some real talk. From one dad to the other, I'm here just to support. We do have Robin McConigal. She's from Family Kind, and she has been facilitating a lot of our different parent workshops. Family Kind does support parents who are either divorced or separated or in court, and you need a different level of guidance as you move through things. She has a breadth of experience. She has always been a great support with our council. We also do have Quentin Meziton. He is one of our presidents for our CEC, I believe 28. He's also a District 75 representative, and he is a really great advocate on behalf of District 75 as a dad. He always does stand out in his advocacy, and he did say yes to show up in this particular space again, to show up for the dads who did say yes. So with that being said, I do want to go ahead and give the floor over to Robin and Quentin for you guys to process us through this second installment of our dad dialogues. Thank you both for being here tonight.
Thank you for having us. Thank you. So Quentin, you jump in whenever you want to, my friend, okay?
Awesome. Listen, I always live and learn and grow with you. Family time is amazing. So I'm looking forward to this dialogue that we're just going to have today. Because we do this, we do this, but go ahead.
All right. Well, I think you're going to take the lead, but I'll start. Sounds good. All right, my friend. So tonight I was thinking about, when I work with dads in particular, I always think about this invisible backpack that all of you wear. So in this backpack, I want you to think about what yours might entail, what's in there. So for a lot of dads will say to me, well, their responsibilities from day to day, the weight of those responsibilities, all the worries, their hopes, their fears, even the skills and tools and strengths that they have as a dad, as maybe a significant other, as a neighbor, as a coworker, whatever the case may be. But there's so much that is in that backpack that dads have. And I think I want you to think it metaphorically. Well, what is in yours? And I think dads have a lot in there that they don't necessarily tell us about. They might not know about. So this is like a little activity to try to help all of you kind of bond and think about what that looks like for you, because this backpack is emotional, it's mental, it's logistic, because sometimes you're literally carrying everything, especially for your little ones and your kids, right? But it's also physical, right? And it interacts with us in a physical way. So I want us to think about what that might look like. So I invite you to kind of unsee this and actually bring it to the forefront and think about the burdens, even the strengths, all the good, right? But all the things that challenge you that are put into this backpack for you. There's some things that might be similar across the board for all of you dads, and some things might be very, very different according to your situation. So I want you to think about this invisible backpack. If you're comfortable, close your eyes. Sometimes it's easier to imagine what that might look like for you. And if you were to open that backpack right this moment, what would be inside for you? And how do you feel about what's inside? Right now, if I was to visualize mine, some things would be happy and joyful because I get to spend time with my children. Maybe I see there's a little bit of progress here and there, but then there's also a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of stress. It's a very difficult world that we live in. There's a lot of responsibilities. So what's in yours? So I challenge you with this first one. So I want you to think about one challenge or weight you carry. Could be anything. It could be parental, it could be as a dad, it could be as, a coworker, an employee, a boss, whatever it might be, human. What is that one challenge and how does it weigh you down? I want you to think about that. And then I also want you to think about, to kind of counteract that, what's a strength or a tool that you may carry? Something that you're really good at, that you're a master in. I bet you're all really good at being a dad in some way. So I want you to think about, what does that look like? It doesn't have to do with being a parent. It could be anything in your life. Another moment I want you to think about, and I'm going to give you a moment to think about all these things in a second. What hope or dream do you have that you hold on to and you're never going to let it go? because that's the strength that kind of guides you, right? That's that hope that pushes you forward. So I'm going to take a pause for a moment. I call it a mindful pause, and have you think about it and see if Quentin wants to add anything, his wisdom.
Yeah. No, those are it's one of those things that it hits home because we all have an invisible backpack, but I feel that, as a father, that backpack has gotten heavier
Oh, yeah.
having children on the with special needs
Mm-hmm.
and or disabilities. And I'm right now a father of 6 children, and my fourth and fifth child have autism. And there are two different parts of the spectrum in different ways on their abilities. And it's like this backpack I would say, has so many pockets.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing I've expected as a parent was just to help my kids grow to be independent adults. Get out
Right.
of the house, live your life. So when this disability came, it kind of took some of those expectations and changed them, as in, is that going to be possible? Do I need to change my vision? Am I going to be taking care of my kids for the rest of their life instead of just like 18, 21, they're doing their own thing? And it's still a wait. So I get a lot of support. I've seen a lot of progress. Sometimes I would say that the challenge I have is seeing the progress of my kids develop, their cognitive abilities become more independent at later dates as my expectations. You know, it brings hope, it brings amazing joy, but it also has this voice in my head like, well, what if I plateau? And what if they never really get up to the par where they can do this on their own? So right now they're 8 and 9, and I have that weight that I'm holding because it's like I'm doing all these things, I'm putting them in all the therapies, and I'm doing this because they need it, and it's part of the
Right.
IEP. But it's like, this better work. And like what the goal is, that the independence. Like I'm also scared of what life will look like for me as an adult raising my other children, my wife, as I get older, if my kids, in certain ways don't get older. What do I need to put in place and have those things putting in place? But it's like, that challenge is like, okay, so you got a legal plan, you got insurance, you got these things, but you didn't want to use it. You getting it to protect people. It's like, I'm like, I don't want to use it. Be independent. So it's one of those things, you got to smile about, I guess. I don't share like that on a daily basis, but it is a challenge every day that I'm putting my son on the bus or, brushing his teeth or giving him a shower and doing something that, you know, at his age I was doing by myself. It does open that section up as like hopeful, smiling, quiet desperation.
Right. But that's the invisible part, right? Because deep down, there's all those other emotions you just expressed, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I wonder too, for all the dads too, do you all have a different backpack for different children too, right? I wonder how many backpacks you're actually carrying. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh,
Hmm.
many.
Probably a lot, right? I don't think it's just one. You have 6 children. I almost envision 6 backpacks. They all come with, joys and strengths and challenges of parenting each and every one of them, correct?
Exactly. And you don't want to take away from some because
Mm,
of my other children who need more of me. I got to just split the time and be present. And then I got to remember, oh, yeah, my wife probably has like 3 book bags by herself
yep.
for
That's
expectations.
right.
So it's like, all right, how do I make sure my book bag is good with her? And then
Mhm.
out of all those book bags, I'm like, oh, shoot, like, can I get a book bag? Girl, can I get some?
Who's
Can I get
carrying
something for
yours?
me? Yeah, my book bag's on the floor somewhere under the
Yep.
bed. Haven't seen that for a while. So, but
That's a really
even
good
if I,
point.
yeah, even if I see my book bag, it looks like, I'm more likely to just leave my book bag closed and not address my book bag because everybody's book bag is so exhausting. And it's just like, if I get theirs, I just say, you know what? My book bag would should make everybody else happy. And
Mm-hmm.
then 3 days later, I'm like beating myself up, like, man, you didn't go to the gym. Man, you didn't
Yep.
go for your run. You didn't
Mm-hmm.
even get to watch your movie. You sit here watching stuff with everybody else.
True. And it spirals so quickly, right? Because that you actually couldn't, of course you did, because you're amazing. You brought me to the next part of it, right? So it's like that reflecting, and that's what you're doing, right? It's so important for, I think, dads in particular to reflect, like, so what's that heavy stuff that's not letting you watch that movie? That's not letting you have some downtime to yourself. It's taking care of everybody else usually, right? And then what strengths do you have that would help you do that? I think most dads feel like they can't take that time. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, any of the dads that are listening, but right? You're not allowed to take that time to yourself. I think there's a lot of guilt that comes with that. What do you think?
Yeah, no. Other dads chime in. I sat down with different dads in different workshops, and that's one of the questions that comes up. Like a father asked me when I was in the Bronx, PS11. He was like, "How do I, I work full time, and his wife is at home with their son, who's probably about like 6 years old, and he was just like, he he's working like sometimes 12-hour days, and it's just like he wants to do more and support his wife, support his son, and whenever he's not working, he's there, but he knows that it's putting a big toll. So he's kind of like, I gotta put food on the table. I gotta provide for my family. And I know me not being present is hurting my family, but it's kind of like I can't stop what I'm doing. I gotta
Right.
say yes because we have responsibilities,
Mhm.
provide, protect, and it's just like we just kind of like, so what works? And it's like sometimes it's just kind of like how we kind of talking about trying to just celebrate the little the little wins. And when you can do something, I stop beating myself up as much. Where it's like it takes me 3 days to watch a movie because I'll start it and pause to address something. But
Mhm.
knowing that I've knocked that movie out in 3 days gives me some joy. Like, hey, I did that. I could
Right.
talk about it because instead of me trying to knock out 2.5 hours of time, I could knock out 45 minutes today. I could knock out this without feeling guilty and overwhelmed and stuff
Exactly.
so I gotta be intentional. I gotta like discipline myself because it's not their fault if I didn't go to the gym. That means I had to learn home workouts. I have to make adjustments to still feel myself, see myself growing. But it's like I also have to be truthful with myself. Like, listen,
Absolutely.
you know that I have a certain relationship with my sons that they don't have with my wife and their siblings. And it's just like I have to still utilize that to get them to get certain stuff done when I'm home. I have that relationship and she has her relationship, so I still got to make sure she gets her time, but it could work. So I'm still working on this. I'm not perfect. We mess up every week, but it's just like I'm still working on being present as much as I can for everyone while not negating myself. But it's just like
Hard.
it's one of those things. My son now is a junior. Now it's like we're talking about college and SATs and how he's scoring, and it's like a different conversation. But he needs me to be present. So
Right.
as long as I give 15 minutes to all my kids,
You're good.
I'm done. It's like 15 minutes for 24 hours. Leave me alone. I feel like that's my goal every day. 15 minutes. If you get 30, like blessed. But 15 minutes is my goal for each kid and my wife. She gets like 30 a day.
I
I don't
love that.
time it, but that's my goal.
I love that. And I think, it sounds like and this is what I tell parents all the time, right? So I think it's important to know that there is no such thing as balance, right? It really is hard to
None.
balance all of that. And I think it sounds like you've come to that reality, which I think is really important for parents, right?
Exactly.
So
It-
exactly. So Quentin, of course, hit on all this. I mean, he's awesome. So what did it feel like to open your backpack? We talked about all this and didn't have anything surprises. And I think that the surprise is like, how are you going to navigate everything right now, right? And how are we going to find that time for each individual child, for our significant others, for ourselves? Um, Something to think about moving forward. And that was, I think, keeps dads in particular in some isolation. So some examples, and again, Quentin, please chime in. Feelings, some dads maybe feel like they must be strong and silent, right? So you kind of have to hold it all in. You can't really express. Some people have a support system, but a lot of dads that I've worked with and talked to said that they really don't have that, and they're afraid to even speak up and say, you know what, I'm having a really hard time. This is a lot for me. I can't do this, because it makes them feel society. Again, we talked about this last time, but society kind of puts this stigma on dads. The lack of emotional outlets or spaces to talk about your child's diagnosis and what's going on raising a child with any type of diverse or unique needs. It's a lot. And sometimes there's spaces, and I know Quentin, you provided this. I hear we have this. Christine, everyone has provided, but there's not a lot of spaces for dads in particular. To me, that's where we need to change the conversation. We do social life and disconnection from old friends. Sometimes that happens. A lot of dads have said to me, I just don't have time for my friends, or they don't want to, understand what's going on for my family or my child. So I had to kind of just cut ties. Not knowing other dads in similar situations, I think that's a big one. It goes back to kind of those groups of circles that we really wish we had for dads. Hoping that we can provide that space for everyone. Cultural stereotypes about masculinity, what it's supposed to look like, what's a dad's role, what's that profile that society tells all of you dads that you're supposed to be like. It's mostly way too pressureful, and it doesn't make sense. Societal focus on mothers usually, right, as a primary parent, but we know a lot of dads, right, all of you out there are just as important in your child's life, as just as much of advocate and a secure base for your children. I don't think dads get enough credit for that, or definitely not a recognition and support. Work demands versus home demands, Quentin just explained that perfectly, and guilt and shame. I think that sometimes comes with it. Quentin, what are your thoughts about all that?
Oh man, you just listen. You just hit on everything. Where like
Trying,
I
I
want
work
to,
with a lot of dads.
yeah, no, no. Listen, I always like to just focus and give you this acknowledgement. Family Kind, you guys have been doing your work for so long, and the foundation and I that you guys have on the understanding of families. Like we're talking about fathers, but you guys have a good foundation of just understanding families. And I would say dark spots and shadows that we don't even know to look at. We don't even know the question to ask. You ask the question that opens up so much more.
Why?
So when you started talking on your first slide, I was just like in my heart, just like drop, like, oh man, you just like hitting me like, oh wait, you know that's you. Oh, you know this. So it's just like if you want to go back 2 slides, it's like if you
This one?
okay, let me see.
This
So
is the
yeah.
back.
No. Like go
This one?
back to the other one.
This one?
Yeah, we're gonna sentence watch. Like you went on everything that I was thinking about when you just asked the question. So it's the scariest thing to open up my backpack, even though I know what's in there. It's scary every
Mm-hmm.
day to wake up and like know what I know and still hope on what the tomorrow is gonna bring and the possibilities. It's like it's scary. It's if I get a call from the kid's school, it's like they have to start the phone call where
Yeah.
everything's okay
Mm-hmm.
before I could just like, because it's
Yeah.
like, why are you calling me? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, don't call me, even though I want to know. It's like it's so many things to unpack, and then it surprises me because it's just like sometimes I think that things are going so good, and then as soon as something slips, I see all these things being opened up. Like, oh, I thought I was past that. I didn't know I had that feeling. I didn't know I had the stress or anxiety. So it's something that the surprise needs to happen sometimes to just remind me of the reality that we're in. So I do appreciate it because I get to reevaluate maybe what I could do better with my children or different things when something sparks. And then let's go to the next one. Is
Slide.
the next slide. Yeah. So now the disconnection from old friends. I have 3 kids right now, 19 or 20, 19, and 16. So I was that father, going to these, even now, going to like college tours, going to, these different workshops that school provides that, you know, those friends that I grew up with, and then even the friends that I still have that have similar kids, like similar aged kids
Ages.
as my
Mm-hmm.
youngest two, I noticed the separation and I noticed the misunderstanding. And I don't want to have a big ableism and enlightening talk sometime with other parents at the
Mm-hmm.
park to understand what my kids are going through differently. Like, I just want to
Mm-hmm.
go to the park and have fun with my
Exactly.
children. This is not
Mm-hmm.
a workshop. So it's like, and I know where they're coming from with the lack of understanding. I seen that my kids, my first 3 kids compared to my fourth and fifth child, my 2 sons, Quintus and Quinn, we don't go to as many birthday parties. It's like they don't come home and tell me about their friend in school or, we've been invited to this or going to this. The social engagement with the families of my sons going through the school right now, if it wasn't for the school doing things, it was just like we don't do things.
Right.
Like But my other children, I had that experience of so many opportunities, so many possibilities, just looking at the album of the invitations we were going to. And then even those friends that know, hey, Quentin, man, I see what you're doing with your kids. It's powerful. But it's like, I do see that big separation of, you know, like we don't do stuff anymore. Family wise, we're not, yeah, hey, you could send your top three kids, but keep home cookies and Quentin just because, we're not, nothing against them, but the way things are set up and different things. And I hear it and I'm just there like, and I see it and I feel it, but I could see the disconnection from misunderstanding and just the lack of wanting to understand more. It's just kind of like the kids don't see it, but mommy and daddy, we see it because we've been through all of this.
Of course.
And it's one of the things it does hurt, in family, when you see
Mhm.
the invitations to family events, all of a sudden saying adults only, or just your top three kids and not your younger ones. And it's just like, I get it. So I'm not even judging them because I get it that they don't have the means, they don't have the support, they don't have the tools to help my kids, in their like what in their space that they're creating for an
Right.
event or something. So you know, it's not my whole thing. I'm gonna file a report of discrimination and
Right.
and stuff.
But you
It's just
logically get it, right?
yeah. So it's like I'm
Emotionally,
that
though, it's
parent.
hard to get that though. Emotionally, it's hurtful, right? It's a lot.
Yeah, don't invite me to the movies. And my family likes to go to movies a lot. It's like they already know, like, no, my son is not sitting down for a movie right now. And like, so I'm just not going. And it's too expensive for me. I don't like that
Yeah.
movie and stuff. But it's just like it's a different life and a different path we have to take. But that always hits home because I have a lot of friends, I have a lot of family, and it's just like seeing the disconnection that I get because it's just like, hey, I'm bringing my sons, or so now it's either I don't get an invitation or I got to navigate a different way. It's
Mhm.
and then knowing it's like all dads are going through the same thing, whether we speak about it or not, we see it, and it does hurt us in a different way, but we still got to keep moving. But
Yeah, you
that
definitely
was
do.
just something that it hit home.
I love that what you just said. And we have someone else's hands is up. Jid.
Let's go.
The great uncle, if I remember correctly, right?
Let's see.
They got to unmute
One
you.
of
There
the
you go.
yeah, one of the things I mean that was just coming up was uh, so like my niece now is like 18. But like younger, when she was younger, it definitely was a challenge. We just got to a place we came to a place of just acceptance that this was what life was, to be quite honest. And then after a while we just needed to just embrace it in the way that it is. So that way we didn't put any kind of judgment on ourselves, as we just figured we're just doing the best we can, regardless of what it looks like. She'll be all right. Um, and that's how we've been flowing, to be honest with you. Like I take Erin to the bowling alley with me. When we were first there, I thought it was going to be an issue. I think I might have told y'all about this, but like, the folks at the bowling alley worked to really accept her, and now she's like part of the league. Um, and it's great to
Nice.
have it's great to have a support system like that. Like we had there was like a team that complained about her, and they actually kicked the team out of the league as opposed to like not have her come back.
Mm.
So it's like it's really having a way to figure out how to teach people how to accept you
Mhm.
know um the person for who they are, based on where they are right now, and just understand that everybody's people, and it's just people just communicate different. They just are at different levels. Everyone's on a different spectrum.
So true. It's everybody. You're 100% right. And I love that. I remember that story about the bowling because she really loves bowling, right?
She doesn't like the bowl, but she
Oh,
likes to be in the place. Yeah,
oh,
to be
that's
in the
Beautiful,
even
place.
more,
beautiful.
And then, she
that's
like,
even
at
better.
first she wasn't really, but then like she just started interacting with folks, and then folks interacted with her.
That's
And then
wonderful.
and she was doing this thing where she would remember people's birthdays. So like their birthdays would come up and she'd just be like, "Oh, happy birthday." And they'd be like, "When did you?" I'd be like, "I don't know." She just figures this stuff out and whatnot. She just remembers. Yeah,
That's
it's wild.
incredible. Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing. So again, please
Beautiful.
keep chiming in. Quentin and I, you two should be talking more than me anyway. So keep chiming in.
So, hey,
That's
are you coming to
good.
D75 bowling night tomorrow night?
No, I'm in a bowling league. That's that Friday night. That's the
Oh,
league that I
okay.
take her to. Yeah, if I don't take her with, the one time I didn't take her bowling and she lost. Like we were playing a team that considered her like a good luck charm, so I left her home that night because we were facing them. Yeah,
You didn't
yeah. When I
want them
came
to
back
win.
home, yeah, I
Oh,
didn't want
snap.
them winning. Yeah, when I came home, she lost it. So like that's our Friday nights are our nights.
Okay, so
Okay, okay.
great
Nah,
then.
hey, next
Another
time,
one,
don't worry.
rain check.
Noted, we'll schedule it. And you'll probably kick our butts. Like, you guys are in the league and stuff. All of us fathers, I don't know if we're playing at that level.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, and the other thing too is sometimes I've learned anyway. Like I had to give myself grace around time.
Mm,
Like really just be like, you know what, this is not like if I can't make it there, that's what it is. If I can make it, I'll make it. If I can't, I can't. And I'm not really looking for anyone to understand it. It just as long as we're okay with it. Everyone else will just kind of have to fall in place, or if they choose to,
right.
or not. You know,
I love that. You're right. You have to give yourself a lot of, it's hard to give yourself grace, right? It's really hard as a
it's
guardian.
it takes a lot of work. It takes a
Yes,
lot of work
it does.
because like one of the things Quentin was talking about working out, like going to the gym. I
Hmm.
had to change my thinking as opposed to going to the gym just working out. So I do a lot of stuff at home. Once the folks are in school or whatever, I'll just do the isometrics at home or what have you, just to get the workout in. I just wasn't tied to it because going to the gym it took time. It took time to get there. It took time to do the workout. It took time to come back. After a while, I had to just be like, all right, what exercises can I do in this half hour that'll give me the best results while Erin is asleep or while she's doing that and stuff. And the other thing is sometimes just being okay with the house being a mess. Like I was doing a thing where I was cleaning like once a week. just just the regular stuff, like fixing the bed or whatever. But like all the other stuff, I'm not doing that every day. When the weekends came, then I get in all the laundry, take it to the laundromat or what have you. You know what I'm saying? Cooking, I'll do cook prepping on Sundays, and then everybody just kind of like, me and the wife kind of like just kind of hand off and figure out, what's best for who in terms of what. I mean, the other thing for me though is I'm a house spouse, so I'm full time at home. So that
You,
Beautiful.
that that that's a big difference as well.
Goals.
yes, it is. You've done a great job of balancing it. And again, we can't really fully balance it, but you've done a great job of rearranging what works best for everybody.
Yeah, no, love that. Just love
Really.
the
Amazing.
structure that you just
Yes.
put. What works
Hmm.
is there a right way to parenting? Like, no, there's our
Yeah.
way.
Hmm.
Whatever we do that works is what
Whatever
works.
you do, whatever you do that they're able to still get up in the morning, they eating, they're showing up,
Mhm.
you're parenting correct.
Right.
Exactly. Shoot.
Exactly. The showing up
They're
is
not in
key.
jail. They're not
Hmm.
on drugs. It's like we're good. We're winning. Oh no, beautiful. That's beautiful, man.
Absolutely. What great parents. I'm so impressed. So everybody who's listening, out there. So let's think about these reflection questions. I think our two friends here have touched on some of these. So what are some moments where you felt alone on this journey? Even you have a whole bunch of people with you. It doesn't mean you felt, right, that someone was actually there with you. Again, it's your own experience. Even someone who's going through with it as co-parenting, it's not the exact same experience. I think you all can vouch for that. How does isolation show up for you? Is it physical? Do you feel it in your body? Do you feel stressed? Do you feel more fatigued? Emotionally, what do you do with those emotions? And we know it shows up, but are you just internalizing it and now you're getting sick or you're getting frustrated or tense, or you're externalizing it? Socially, how does it manifest socially for you? Do you isolate yourself because you just don't want anyone to ask questions? You don't want to have the hassle. Or you're trying to overcompensate and be more social, but now it's draining you. What messages did you grow up with about being a man, about being a father? We all come with what I call ghosts in the nursery. Those stereotypes, those experiences that may have infiltrated us in not such a great way. It makes us feel like, and you both just said it, like we can parent however we want to parent. What's best for our children? What's best for us? That's not usually what people tell us, right? What do we wish people would ask or understand about our experience? And the other one I want to add to that is sometimes we wish them, what could we wish they don't ask? And what they don't, right, try to challenge us about. So what's some talk? Let me hear you guys. What do we think about those reflective questions?
If I may, I want to go back
Of
a
course,
bit.
Louis.
Can anybody hear me? Okay, great.
Yes,
Thank you.
Louis.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to go back to that invisible backpack.
Sure.
One of the things, one of the many things that I carried in this invisible backpack is past trauma and how it's affected my whole life.
Mhm.
To the and I, there's a lot of shame there because honestly, uh, it wasn't that my family were bad people. It was that I was in a household of altogether 11 people, including myself, my two siblings at the time, who had just come up. My my mother and her parents and her siblings um, came in from South America, Ecuador, in 1969, 1970. So that's a family that already had. First of all, they came from a place that was very spacious for them. They had friends and all my uncles and aunts. They were all teenagers. My mom, for all intents and purposes, she was a teenager when she came, and my father. I'm told honestly that he raped my mom, and I'm born. So everybody's forced to relocate to the Bronx, where it's cold, where it's one apartment for 11 people, 2 bedroom, uh, and everybody is scared. Um, I had my grandmother was dark skinned. My aunts, two of three of them were dark skinned. So they were treated, like black people were treated, and still are to this day. So there was a lot of fear, there was a lot of isolation, there was a lot of, you know, not really socializing with anybody else. So I grew up with a lot of that, and I internalized a lot of that, a lot of the abuse as well. Um, and I grew up very, very angry, and that angry was very destructive. I've lost three very important relationships. The last one was with my ex, with whom I had my two children, and Tessa, who's 8, and Orion, who's 13, because she didn't feel safe. I would yell, I would be violent, um, and she had to call to. I didn't know that she had called um, domestic services to help her get out and go into a domestic shelter, domestic violence shelter, and even after that, I didn't have time to to feel bad about myself. I needed to know. I knew that I had to change, and I knew that I needed to work on myself so I can be present for my kids. And um, it it's been a struggle because mom to this day, even though I've been present, as best I can. I'm trying to help my kids to thrive. Um, Um, every day I'm up at 4:40 in the morning to do my morning exercises. Uh, it wasn't Quentin that you mentioned about doing exercises whenever you can. That's when I do my stuff in the early morning so I can better my body and my mind. Um, uh, and I've been in therapy for years, and it's finally paying off. The persistence, the consistency is paying off, and um, that's what I have to remind myself that even on the days where I feel horrible, as long as I stay consistent, you know, um, those those days will come. But in the long run, I'll be able to be stronger for it. Um, and even just today, um, my 8-year-old, she's my two children are on different part of the spectrum, and my 8-year-old, she's needs a lot more attention than my 13-year-old. And here I am with a part of the backpack that says, Orion, my 13-year-old, he needs his time, but my 8-year-old takes a lot of that time, and it's hard to split myself between the two of them. So in that invisible backpack, there's the shame that I am countering with all the things I need to do to take better care of my mind and my body. Because they're only getting stronger, they're only getting smarter, they're only getting bigger, and I'm 56, and I need this body and mind to be a lot better, to improve. And I'm grateful that I'm finally, along with all the painful stuff, I'm incorporating tools and things to help me grow. Many that I've mentioned before, simple things as breathing is incredibly important. Simple things as doing my daily routine of stretching and basic exercise, and talking about not being able to do a gym. The attitude that I've been cultivating is the gym is wherever I am, and I make the best of whatever opportunity life presents me. And myself with my relationship with my emotions, especially anger, in particular, my aggression, that's also transforming, through being very open and honest with the people who know about these things, with therapists, psychiatrists, and people who are willing to listen. And because a lot of what I also carried was a lot of isolation. I stayed away from people because I felt horrible about myself. I didn't want people to see me, what I felt, how horrible I felt about myself. But that doesn't help me. It doesn't help my children in the long run. I need to be out. I need to be open, and need to be open to trying different things, new things, in order to be available emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally. And it's I find that it's worth doing even on the very difficult days.
Absolutely. Lewis, as
That
always,
was
thank you so much. Quentin, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, that was powerful, Lewis. Like just thank you for just like feeling safe to just share your story with us, because you're a father, we're fathers, we're brothers, and that had so much in it. I just want to just thank you. You are enough, and you are doing great. And it's just like, I really felt what you were saying at the different stages of where you are. And it's like knowing that you're still going forward is the good part. You're not giving up. And that's the best advice. Just don't give up. Keep going forward. You got two beautiful children, still at good ages. To see you, and you're still, like you said, you're looking healthy over here, bro. So it's just like keep doing what you're doing.
Work in
Hey
progress.
guys,
Thank you.
let me jump in really quickly. We have some notes that we have no one in our interpretation rooms. So I do want to go ahead and release our interpreters, and thank you for your time for being present. For 6:47 p.m. we will release you. Robin, Quentin, you guys have the floor again.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Quentin.
I'll just tapping into just honoring you. And I don't know if you're coming tomorrow to our bowling, the D75 bowling.
I wanted to come, and here's another positive thing. I'm working on communicating with Nikki, is my children's mom's name, because she's angry. She still has a whole lot of resentment for my actions against her and against my children. And but here's the thing. She herself, I asked if I could drop off Tessa at her job. She's part of the DOE. She's got her certificate, a master's certificate in working with children, developmental disabilities. from Baruch College last year, and so she's helping you know, children in this in the at her job, and I asked if I could, you know, drop off. Sometimes I could drop off Tessa early so I could make to the bowling tomorrow. And uh, the good thing was that this time our messages back and forth were were respectful, were um, like she was. She gave me the impression that if she could, she would be amenable, but she said that they were short-staffed at her job, and also the Department of Education was going to show up tomorrow, and you know she can't have her child while the DOE is there for inspection. Um, and I was glad that to hear that if if she was not short-staffed and if the DOE wasn't showing up, that she was going to be willing to take Tessa in order for me to be able to go. That for me is a step in the right direction.
Beautiful.
So, you know, because I my attitude is you are it you are our children's mom. I'm going to treat you with the respect that you deserve,
Mhm.
and change my attitude about how I talk with you. I can't worry about her opinions of me, letting that keep me, or anybody else's opinions. But of course, her opinion because she's their mom, you know. Um, uh, so long as I continue doing what I have to do, and that is helping on my end. How I communicate with her is helping, you know, ease up the unnecessary animosity. I mean, even earlier this week when I drop off Tessa, and you know, Nikki was in a mood. She her the text back to me was not very friendly, and I kept my composure and I firmly told her, you know, this not helpful. You know, uh, and it would there was no heavy argument, which was great. You know, even though I'm not able to make it to the bowling, I feel good that Nikki and my communications are moving in the right direction.
That's wonderful, Louis. That's important because that's you have to
I
focus
want
on.
to go bowling though with you guys,
He
Krista.
wants to go. Wait.
Listen, we are going to talk to the district office, and like this is the first of many events. Like
Mhm.
they just want to see that we want to do things, and I feel like they
Mm.
want to support us in the best ways. So it's just like don't worry about this one. You can't make this one, but like we're gonna have them lining up stuff in the summer throughout the year because we don't have a lot of
Oh,
spaces
it
for
froze.
fathers. So it's like,
Mhm.
hey, can't make this one. We'll make the next one. We'll be here. But
That's
like
wonderful. I
that's
love to hear that. That's wonderful. All right, Dad, let's see. So if someone could truly understand what it's like to walk in your shoes, what would you want them to know? What are you guys thinking? Hmm. I I see the wheels turning. What would you want? Come on.
You know, I've recently, and I say recently, I've been learning about how, you guys heard about ACEs, adverse child experiences.
Experiences. Mm-hmm.
It's
nice.
a, it's a, it's a, it's something that can sort of gives a person, like a psychiatrist, psychologist, or therapist, an idea of how a person's childhood affects not just their mental health in the long run, but also their physical health. Um, and here's the thing that I discovered about myself with that, is that when I was a kid, I was so afraid of going to the bathroom, getting up to go to the bathroom because you know my grandma used to try to scare me out of peeing my bed by putting my head underwater. Okay, so I was freaked out. So for the longest time, even up till you know when Nikki and I were living together, uh, I would be holding I'd be holding my pee, and she would have to push me to wake up to go to the bathroom. Okay, well, it turns out that this past November, I couldn't go to the bathroom. I couldn't pee. Go to the emergency room. They had put in a catheter. Turns out that I have a non-cancerous uh, uh, enlarged prostate, and I have other issues with with arteries going down my legs. I'm like, the way that I used to hold my pee, the way that all of that affected me even later on in life. Uh, and here's the thing: I don't want to have my children's mine and my ex's stuff affect them as minimally as possible. Uh, and you know that it kind of scares me because yeah, I have had outbursts. I mean, just this week on Sunday, you know, I was with Tessa. We were doing some breathing exercises from kids YouTube exercises, and she seemed to be, you know, calm down in the moment. But then she had a moment where if you don't say something a certain way, her OCD kicks in, and you must she will start flipping out. And in the moment I forget that this is part of what she goes to, and I started getting angry and frustrated, and I punched this mattress over here, and I almost broke this phone, this communications phone, and I had to calm myself down right there and realize, no, this is not the way to do things. So one of the things that I had to do was I would go to the kitchen, fill up a bowl with ice water, because I've discovered that cooling down your face with ice water. At that moment when Tessa's, it was very, you know, in, not, you know, very screaming at everything and biting her hand. You know, you know, she couldn't put her face in the bowl, so I had to take a rag and put the cold water and put it on her face and put music on and help both of us to calm down. So I'm, you know, that she saw me punch the mattress that I haven't get set up this bunk bed yet. The children have another bunk bed in their room that is set up. I don't want those moments of outbursts that I have when I hit something to affect them adversely. Again, today Tessa had a moment like that, and instead we went to the water. We did the water, and I kept her from biting herself, from hurting herself. Eventually, she calmed down with the music and everything. And this time around, I didn't freak out. She even punched me in the face, and I did not take it personally. I know where that comes from. It was a struggle for about 45 minutes to an hour for her to finally calm down. But it's been more and more that I've been doing things to not make the situation worse. And a lot of that is me taking care of myself mentally, emotionally. Again, you know, not just talking with therapists, but putting things into practice that actually help. I've been doing cold water showers every morning almost since November last year, because that helps raise anybody who does this, it raises the dopamine baseline in anybody. And someone who's been dealing with depression and anxiety his entire life, like myself, I need all dopamine I can get. So those have been very helpful. But again, what scares me is, you know, the thought that my actions would cause them to suffer emotionally and physically later on in life. So I have to continue keeping myself, you know, growing and learning things and doing things proactively that improve my life, my mind, my body, so I can be more present for them and not make their situation worse.
Lewis, that's so impressive because you know your emotion regulation is everything for your children. It's really hard to be emotionally regulated though, right? And it's smart,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, absolutely. It's incredibly challenging, and it can, you know, look in my daughter's eyes and face without looking at her angrily or judgmentally. You know,
Mhm.
it's
Hard.
it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it definitely does. Absolutely. Quentin, I saw you wanted to say something. What were we thinking?
Oh no, I wouldn't like oh Lewis, man, you are
I
just
know, right?
you're over. I never heard of ACEs before tonight. So like while you were talking, and I looked it up and I'm just reading it and hearing you talk about it, I'm like thinking about how that like what are we doing now that could make this lasting impact? I'm like, okay, restructure the way I maybe do this in front of them. Or now it's just think about what do my kids do in front of their siblings?
Mhm.
Like what do I like because they have their own stresses and it could be impacting. So thank you for bringing that. I love new acronyms since
Mhm.
being in the since being in this space of special needs, I've learned so many new acronyms and
Mhm.
it's always something else to add to my library of a new acronym that I will be able to just understand and know. But that was so impactful. Thank you, Lewis. But I know that before I was even going to say something, we have our other father that was just you were chiming in before me.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Jude?
Grand.
Yeah.
I was, I was, I mean, like you really, one of the biggest lessons I've learned, raising a child with autism is how much I needed to work on myself so that I can have the patience to work with her.
Good point.
Like she's been to be quite honest, she's been like,
Yeah,
I don't know if I would have taken as much time to work on myself as I have if she wasn't in my life.
Mhm.
Like that's the gift
Right.
she's given me, in a sense.
I love that you just said that. That's a beautiful thing. That's very
Mhm.
powerful.
Yeah.
Amazing.
She's
Mhm.
given me the gift of patience. She's given me the gift of acceptance. She's given me the gift of love. So, like what I was gonna offer is a lot of times, like, while I was gonna offer Luis anyways, like what's the lesson learned in raising while raising your kids throughout this deal, and what you've learned about yourself, like this question about like if someone could truly understand what it's like to walk in your shoes, I'd
Mhm.
just have them walk in my shoes.
I love that.
Forget
I love
explaining.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Here's my shoes.
There
See
you
how
go.
they
Yeah,
handle
go.
it.
Let me know. Let me know how it felt afterwards or whatnot.
I love that. I absolutely love that. All right,
Nah,
so I'm
that
going to
is so,
challenge you a little more because you're all
so
advocates for your
nice.
kids, right? So, you know, you're not just a dad, you're an advocate all the time. So what does that look like? You all know what it's like to be an advocate, but what do people tell you it should look like? I think that's sometimes the challenge, right? Advocating, building partnerships. You're all doing that with the schools. The bowling is a perfect example. I know all of you are advocating for all the dads and all the parents and families out there. What do you think stops people? I'm going to throw something at you guys now. What stops people from advocating for their children? There's a lot of roadblocks out there. Come up with a lot. What do you think it might be?
Fear, for like fear of the
Absolutely.
unknown, fear of the
Mm-hmm.
unknown, fear of
Mm-hmm.
the judgment. Like
Yep.
even though, and even like there's so many levels of the spectrum. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, from the low support to high support. So it's like, even if the world is judging us for just our kids on the spectrum, and then you go to certain
Mm-hmm.
places, and now the schools and classes and opportunities are judging us because where we are on the spectrum and where we are with their behaviors and stuff like that, and their needs are so different. So it's like you're still getting the same thing. So it's like, wow, we're still being separated,
Mm-hmm.
even though we're all in D75, but there's still the separation. And even
Absolutely.
the misconceptions of like, when my son came home with certain habits that he was learning from school, you know, like I was like, he wasn't doing that. Like he doesn't like when he started hitting his head, that happened when he went to school. So I'm just like, man,
Mhm.
did he mimic somebody else that's going through their challenge a different way?
Right.
And it was just like, you can't do nothing about it. It's not like we have one-on-one classes. So you
Right.
got to accept that our kids mimic. eh, But it's like, what class you gonna put them in? Like, because if it's
Mhm.
not one mimic, it's another mimic. So you just got to like just address it whenever. Like this year is gonna finish. My son's gonna go. He's in the 12-month. He's gonna go to summer in the summer. So I don't know what bad and good habits he's gonna pick up, but I try to just stay on top of it because every class comes with something else, but that could be positive or
Mhm.
challenging, and we just got to do it. And I
Mhm.
do like to put them in spaces to maybe mimic more independent things, so they do that. But I feel like we have to speak up. We got to show up. Um, our voice needs to just be heard
Mhm.
more, even when
Agreed.
it's uncomfortable, even when we don't want to. And
Mhm.
personally, I've taken positions in like the school's PTA, on the CEC, and
Mhm.
I try to support as much of community with the school leaders and elected officials. I'm always just trying to understand what could be done more. And the
Right.
main thing I get is no one asked that question. Like
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
on my CEC, no one was the D75 seat for years. And when I got there, they started addressing the needs of D75 for the first time. Our superintendent, their stuff, they just never did it. The liaisons for the schools that co-locate with D75 did school visits for years and never visited the D75 hall, the D75 wing. And I'm like, how do you go to a building and
Wow.
just ignore a whole hallway?
Right.
But if I wasn't there, that couldn't be exposed, that couldn't be supported, that
Mhm.
couldn't just open up this lens, which I've gotten a lot of support from my council. And I just think about the support, the resolutions that I put out to support our families with special needs. If I just said, you know what, this is my battle, I don't want to share my story, let me just keep it to myself. There's so much just in our own district that
So
might have
true.
not been done, been seen, been
Mhm.
heard, and impacted. And I'm just like, and I'm just one district, but it's just like how many other people can do so many other things? How many other fathers can do so
Mhm.
many things? And I feel like we just gotta speak up. And until we could speak up, not all of us ready to speak up.
Mhm.
Let's just support those who are speaking up
Very
until
true.
we can speak up. So like
Mhm.
let's just push up. We don't
Love
gotta
that.
go out there. Don't be on the PTA if you're not gonna show up. Don't run for something if you're not gonna do it. But it's just like support those who are. And I try to just be more involved in the places I can't be. Like I know Christy,
No,
DCA5 is
she's
harder for
fabulous.
everything.
Yes.
Like they have a council that does the whole 5 boroughs. Everybody else gets to stay in their corner. Not
Mhm.
DCA5, you do the whole district um in each district. You don't have school PTAs, you do the whole thing. So it's like all the schools, one PTA. So that's harder. And then citywide, everything that the D75 does, President's Council and the citywide council. And it's just like it's just so much harder, but that's just how it has to be done until we can. So if you can't be on it, I feel like our advocacy is supporting those who are and
Agreed.
just showing up on just whatever they need, just support them and
Mhm.
share it because they bring a lot of value. And it's re-election year, so I'm hoping Christy gets to. I saw her name there, so I was like, click, 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 click.
Oh, I hope
Like,
so.
you better get it.
I hope
So
so.
it's just like
Mhm.
I just hope it continues the impact that we definitely need. And yeah. So that's that's my
Love that,
take on
Quentin.
advocacy.
Love that. What do you other guys think? Come on, dads, tell me. What do you think?
I'll be honest. I like listening to like Quentin, like listening to your story gave it like gives permission to be able to tell mine as well. I
Mhm.
feel like there's something
Mhm.
powerful about being able to just say where you're at
Mhm.
and inviting other folks to be able to come in and just do the same thing, without really worrying about so much, not so much to worry about like the judgment, but really just to be able to release it so that like it's just permission to be able to just be able to release that. You know what I'm saying? There's something
Mhm.
about that. So I feel like advocacy is really creating spaces so that people can share their experience so that they can get more, so that we can get more knowledge together so that as a team we can help each other out as a community,
Great.
so that we can create a community that's more accepting or that's accepting of our kids.
Mhm. I love that. I think you're right. I think advocacy, I love that idea of advocacy because it's creating those spaces, and dads deserve those just as much as anybody else,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So that's why we do this. And I think that's Chrissy, right? And Quentin, I know you creating spaces everywhere you go. And two
Listen,
of you, right?
that's
Absolutely. I
beautiful.
think
Hey,
it's really
let's
important to
share.
support. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And Chrissy, you're a fabulous support.
Hmm.
Oh,
Absolutely.
thank you. I love to be a part of a team. I'm like, even if it's a few people, the people who are meant to get what they need come here, and then the people who get to press play and relive it get what they need as well. So that's really important.
Yes,
Creating spaces and holding space.
absolutely. Definitely, I agree. Absolutely. All right, let's see what else I have here, guys. All right, so the examples, you guys know this, you don't need any of this. So I'm gonna just jump ahead a little bit here. So small but powerful everyday advocacy. What do you guys think about this? I just actually ran a dad's group here. I live on Long Island, so I just ran this. So saying, I don't understand this, but I'm here to learn, right? This is, again, the space that Christy has provided. Quentin, I know that you provide that space. That's a big one. Because we get judged, right? And that guilt and shame comes if we don't know something or people think we don't know something. Some dads say they like to keep a binder about helping, with their child's evaluation, just kind of having it digital or hard copy. So they go in and they know have all that information. That really helps them because sometimes the dad's overlooked in those meetings, right? But they feel like they have the information just as much. Encouraging your child to express preferences, needs, and boundaries. That's a huge way to advocate for our children on a daily basis. And then Lewis, you just gave us a great example of teaching your daughter cold water on her face, right? At 8, she's learning that she can regulate her emotions with cold water, with ice water. Those are wins, those are glimmers, right? That we can help advocate for our children. Showing up, and you all do that every day, right? Don't you show up every second, every day? So tell me, what are your thoughts about these?
On that binder part, I forgot the gentleman's name. I was at a parents conference um, in the Bronx, and I forget the gentleman's name, but he said when you go to your IEP meeting, um, he suggested that you have uh, a binder with one of the clear tabs in the front of the binder with a picture of your child and all that information that you have there. To have it present, the evaluations, reports, and school communications, uh, because it shows the teachers and whoever is there that even though the child is not there in person, the child is represented by you with that binder.
Absolutely. And that they're a person, right? That they're important.
They're an individual,
Yes.
that they have their own way of doing things and need a very individual, needs that need to be met.
Absolutely. I think that's key. And I actually tell parents to hold that picture up. You have that picture so they can visually see that when they're trying to take services away, when they're saying, oh, there's not enough providers for that service, right? Because you all know that. You've been through that game. Sometimes it's true, right? Because we know how the system works, but sometimes it's not. They just don't want to provide that. What else do you guys think about that?
And also encouraging expressing preferences, needs, and boundaries. I don't know if I mentioned this before in this particular Zoom. Quentin, if you were at one of the other dad's Zoom meeting a few weeks back, I was speaking with one of the counselors who's I believe he's a school psychologist, part of D75. His name is David. How I have my daughter's 8 and she's on a spectrum, and I want her to be able to for her, if anybody, you know, if anybody, if she gets unwarranted touching, whatever, that when she says no or stop, that the person would stop. So what I've been doing, whenever I'm playing with her and say I'm tickling her and she tells me stop, I go, okay, and I stop right there. Let her know that even if it's dad tickling you, if you say stop, we're done. That's a boundary and the other thing that we're we're discussing, and I would like to start, is something like a daddy dojo. Because here's the thing: one of the other reasons that I'm getting myself in shape mentally, emotionally, physically, is I want to be able to teach her and other children that if someone, because there are people out there who are hell bent on molesting children, okay,
Mhm.
and take advantage. Uh, and I want my children, my girl, my boy, if someone steps their line, for them to be able to put them down and run away to get help. I want them to be able to learn that at certain points, it's okay to hurt somebody if they are about to hurt you. And I want you to be able to learn to teach what that boundary is, and that no one has a right to cross that boundary.
Absolutely.
No one,
Mm-hmm.
male or female, because unfortunately they both exist.
You're right. You're absolutely right. What are your thoughts, Dads?
No, that's powerful. You know, I always have this thought with fathers, just like, would you rather get the call that your child hurt somebody, or your child was the one that got hurt? And it's
Mhm.
just like, I'm totally against all bullies, but it's just like, I don't like to, I'd rather hear that my child hurt somebody and we can talk about it, see where that came from, see if they were just defending themselves or what occurred, because, I'm going to
Yes,
believe
yes,
the story that my child told me. Maybe somebody was invading a boundary space, but it's just like what you said, is just like, we have to teach our kids to advocate for themselves. That's one of the biggest things that I've been seeing with my son. He's right now 8 as well. It's just like, when he advocates for himself, they love that when he speaks up and stuff. Few words, but if he just shows that he wants to
yes,
do something, he doesn't want to. We have to like really push that, because it's so easy. Like, we just want you to do this and do that, but like, you have to advocate for yourself. I'm always pushing my son to just say what you want. How do you feel? Like, tell me, and stuff like that, because I can't just guess all the time. I need to know, but I need you to know that you got to feel comfortable speaking up. Like, this, like, it's just something that we have to deal with. So I understand that stress, especially having a daughter. It's just like nobody should be touching you, nothing. So I feel you with those fears. And it's just like, you just got to make sure she's ready to just speak up, because it's like, you got to stop it. And then even if you can't stop something, you got to be able to speak up and just know that it's wrong. And reading statistics, I see, I was at a college, Nassau Community College, and the A ABA, the head of that department for students with disabilities, he was telling me that's one of the biggest thing he sees in school. Children come there with disabilities, and they're just not socially aware as much, and they get taken advantage of by
yeah,
others
yeah, yeah.
consensually. And then it's
Hmm.
just like, he tries to just like build different levels of confidence and understanding, that just because somebody says they like you, they that doesn't mean they like you. They're taking advantage of you, but they're using your disability as their advantage in a nice way. And for male and female, females get taken advantage of like that, and then males, they get their bank accounts taken away. And then it's just like, we can only do the best we can as parents. The world is still the world. It's not,
Yes,
it's not the best place
yeah,
out there. So
yeah.
I'm all for all self-defense, all type of understanding, all know and know. I told my kids, all my kids, I'd rather get the phone call that you got in trouble for defending yourself, and you're not in trouble at
Yes,
home. I don't care.
yes,
2 day
Right.
vacation
yes,
suspension is a vacation for
yes,
us. We'll make
yes,
the adjustment. Defend yourself no
yes.
matter what. You'll never be in trouble. Till this day, I still
Hmm.
tell the older ones, younger ones, I look forward to that. Especially for my younger ones, you
Hmm.
better fight, because this world is still this
Yes,
world.
Yes,
We're
yes, yes,
good,
yes,
but
yes,
this
yes,
world
yes,
is still this
yes.
world. So
absolutely, Quentin.
100%.
Again, so powerful. So I'm sure you all feel the same way, right? You're right, Quentin. The world is the world. There's just so much we can do. I agree with you 100%. I always tell my children as well. I'd rather get that call. I'd rather know that you protect yourself, because you don't know. And they are. You're right. Children get taken advantage of all the time, especially for being kind. And there's not enough, I don't think there's enough advocacy out there to teach them how to advocate for themselves. But you're all doing that. And that's such a powerful lesson and gift that you could give your children. Do what you're thinking.
The I agree with y'all on the encouraging, encouraging your child to express preferences. I feel like it's encouraging them to express all of their preferences. So
Yeah.
like when they're angry, being with them when they're angry to figure out like, what it is
Yeah.
and, how they manage it. When they're happy, allowing them to be happy, jumping around if they got to jump around, sad if they got to, if they got to sit around rather than going, fix your face. It's like, what you sad about? You know what I'm saying? If it takes us a while to figure out what's going on here, you're being sad and stuff. Um, to help like build that kind of trust and to also know that like if they're around people who don't want them to express themselves, that those people, they need to be very careful of them.
Oh, absolutely. And I love that. So you were talking about, we call like emotion coaching. That's exactly what you're doing. And that's the best gift. One of the best gifts we can give our children is to teach them how that they're allowed to have these emotions. And we're, how do
Yeah.
you express it and how do you
Yeah.
advocate for those
Yeah.
emotions and what you need? A lot of children are told you can't get, you can't get what you get, right? What is that saying? You get what you get, you can't get upset. I hate that saying.
Yeah,
Crazy.
you
Of
got
course
Yeah,
they can get
they
upset.
get
The
to
children. I get upset.
well,
exactly.
I know, like, I mean, for me, I had to learn how to, like, I had to come up with like an emotion plan. Like, I have
Yes.
an anger plan. Like, I got like
Mhm.
old furniture in the backyard that, like, I can break up at any time with a hammer just kind of express my just to express my anger. Yeah, yeah. I have
Do
a
what you
couple of
gotta
computer
do.
monitors. Yeah, I got a couple of
But
computer monitors on deck. If I
Mhm.
get angry, I want to be able to just kind of throw them around and stuff like that. That way, it's okay. I'm not, I'm just
Yeah.
that way. When I come back after I finish expressing that anger, I could be like, okay, where did that come from? And now I could
Mhm.
deal with some
So
folks.
smart.
You know what I'm saying? I
Jude,
won't express it on
I
anyone
have
else.
So
I
smart.
have heard I have heard there are places that people have to pay to do that.
Rage rooms. They're
Yeah,
called rage
yeah,
rooms,
yeah,
Alex.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
call
no,
them rage
So
no,
rooms.
we need to tell the
that
district
is
office to book that for us.
Yes.
Like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
we need to send that email. I'm sending it.
yeah.
That's what you
It's
said.
a great. You breaking stuff and whatnot. Sometimes you
Yes.
uh
like,
Exactly.
And
right.
it's
And
socially
what
acceptable.
you just reminded me as well is that, Tessa, she when she's, has a high emotion, whether it be sadness, anger, or even happiness,
Intense.
she bites herself hard,
Yeah.
and she's really so. So one of the things that I'm, helping to help her with is that it's okay to feel all these high emotions, but you don't have to hurt yourself while doing that.
Right.
Um, there's a place and a way to express those emotions that doesn't hurt you or somebody
Mhm.
else.
yeah,
That's tricky.
That's
that
tricky
one.
because that's a release, right? She's biting
Yeah,
herself and she's releasing that
yeah,
energy. But you're right.
Yes,
You
yes.
gotta go to Jude's and have her,
yeah.
break some computers.
You gotta have your anger plan. The other thing too, Luis, is how old is she again?
8.
Eight.
So you want to be able to work through those emotions because when her
Yes.
period comes,
Oh
it's
yeah.
off
Oh,
the
oh,
charts.
listen. My
It's a new
my
world.
my my Nikki tells me that she and her sister got their periods at 9 and 10 years old. But here's the thing: Tessa's going to be 9 this year. Here's the other thing. Talking about all this, I'm very grateful for her school that they have all these parent workshops. Because while I'm on one of these parent workshops, I'm talking with their staff there, um, and some of the parents that I'm worried about that because I I need here's another good reason that Nikki and I need to communicate better because here's the thing, just her going to the bathroom, I have to remind her to wipe, please wipe. So here's the thing. Now, when I have to remind her to please wipe, when that time comes, I have to know how to handle that delicately so that she doesn't feel anything bad about having her period.
Right.
Okay, that it's normal, that all that is normal and okay, and that I need to have supplies ready, not just the things that she needs. Hot, I'm told I need heating pads. I
Hmm.
think I'm going to need children's Motrin on hand.
Yes.
I'm going to need all sorts of things at the ready,
Mhm.
with me. And I have a feeling that part of what she's going through of late in the extra aggression is I found out that this was as of, I'd say, 1.5, 2 months ago. Two of her classmates already had the periods in third grade. Okay, so
Damn.
they're
Yeah, right.
developing.
No, it's young, right? It's young.
And what I'm also wondering, I am so glad that my son was there when this happened. I don't know what they're showing. Nikki, who now works for the DOE, told me that it's in the third grade that they start teaching kids basic reproduction stuff. Okay, I don't know where my daughter saw this, but about 4 or 5 weeks ago, she's laying in her bed and she's making as if she's pushing out a baby. I'm like, what? And if my son had not been there to witness this, I'm like, where is she getting this from? What? I'm so I had there has to be communication with Nikki and I, and there has to be communication with her teachers and her staff at school, so that because I need to be educated as to what it is that will help her during those times.
You're right. Absolutely. And the communication is key, right? You all can agree to that. Communication is so important. Anyone who has contact with our children, we should be communicating with all the time, right?
1000%.
Yeah, I guess you're not alone, I would say, in those spaces. There's but so much we could do as fathers to understand the what they're going through. Just to make my daughters mad. And they're like, Dad, my stomach, my cramps. I'm like, man, that's just like me doing 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups straight. I get it. And they're like, no, it's not. I was like, okay, 200.
No, it's not.
No, Dad, come on.
No, it is
Good
not.
try.
Yeah, I don't even try to come up with an analogy. I'm like, I don't know what you're going through.
That's the way to
come
do
here.
it. That's
Yeah,
smart.
I don't even want to pretend.
Oh yeah, no, they get mad at me. Like all of them. But I was like, but no, when it comes, I would just say, like, I remember my daughter felt like she was sick. She was like, we had to go to the doctor and all that stuff. Like, she was scared. And then it's just like, it's a part of life. And we just have to, celebrate it. And it's just like me, as they get older, my whole thing was, okay, you're going through it. We got the heating pad, we got the medicine, we got all that stuff. But you don't need to leave it in the garbage. Like, I don't need to know and see evidence of it. Like, come on, like get rid of it. Like, do your part. Like, I don't need to know that you're on it. Like, you don't have to woe is me, tell the whole world. It's like, 'cause they're older now, and that was just
You
my
part
thing.
of the crew. You part of the crew. That's it.
Yeah,
that's
it. But here's the thing, though, that I've been learning. This thing I've been learning recently is that too many women are made to feel ashamed for just menstruating.
Yeah.
For just having that part of their anatomy in their life, and I don't want my daughter to feel ashamed about that, or bad about that. That's part of who you are. That's part of growing up as a girl, as a woman. So yeah, I will have to, just just make sure you throw it away. Like, I just, at this point, I have to remind myself to please wipe. So we really I need to learn how to help her do that. Quick aside, I only, one day she's going to the bathroom and she goes stomp, and she stomps. I'm like, I only heard that from one other person decades ago. This girl, she says she learned that she never goes. First of all, she never just really sits down at a toilet at a club, even in a woman's room. She hovers, and if there's no toilet paper, she says she stomps. I'm like, where did you hear this? Where did my girl hear this? What? So no, you don't stop. You wipe.
Yeah, well, they hear things from so many places, right? I mean, that's
oh my
the thing.
God.
It's just so much we can keep them from.
Hey, that squatting though, my sons, like, they did that for a long time, for years, just like, and that's how they felt comfortable, putting their 2 feet on the toilet seat and squatting. And if you do some research, like, that's supposed to make it better for
That's the
your spine
natural
and
way
your
to
back.
do it.
Yeah, the
That's the
natural way
way
to
as
do it.
human beings are
So
supposed to
I ain't
eliminate.
stopping them.
Yeah.
A win is
So
a
yeah.
win. It's just when we go out, to do that, you got to, take off all your clothes. You got to, take off everything. So you just got to be prepared to just do that. So it's just, it's funny this week, this was yesterday. The teacher said they go, to the bathroom, like structured times. They just keep taking the
Yeah.
kids to the bathroom because there are some that,
Yeah.
are independent, some are not. So they just kind of just
Yeah.
take them like every, whatever, 15, 20 minutes. I don't know exactly.
hmm
But this was the first time that my son said, he told her he had to pee, but then when they took him to the bathroom, he said, I want to go home. So then she texted me. She was just like, hey, I think he wants to poop, but he doesn't want to poop here. He doesn't feel comfortable. So he didn't want to do anything. So he went back to class, but now he's pacing around. He's just like, he's acting
Mm.
weird. He's just like, holding himself, and he's just
Aw.
like, he's not trying to sit
Aw.
down. So then she's just like, Quinn, it's okay. If you want to poop, you can poop. And, he wants to go home. It's like 9 o'clock. He's at school.
Aw.
So then
Oh.
he eventually, because he's gonna give in, and then he just said, okay, bathroom. And then they took him to the bathroom, and this was the first time all year since he's been going to school, that because he's just been able to hold it
Wow.
before, I guess, that he pooped. But then I'm just like, they celebrated, because I always celebrate whenever they do anything, and they celebrated. I was so proud of him. I'm just like, listen, you need to poop. Like, I don't care if like, I get it. My older ones were just like, oh, he's just like me. I hold it. I'm like, you hold it, good for you. You can hold it, do what you gotta do. But for mine's, like, where he's at, I can't depend on you holding it, and we trying to go out, we're trying to do stuff. If you gotta go, just go. There's nothing wrong with going. But for that moment, he felt that he wasn't supposed to go, and he was supposed to hold it for home. But when
Oh.
the teacher made him feel
Wow.
safe, they made him feel like this is just
Yeah.
normal, this is great,
Right.
and he did it and was cool. I'd be like, oh, now he could, he knows it's a safe place. He knows he can do it, and maybe he needed that, and maybe that will help him
Yes.
advocate for himself in other spaces later. But it was just like,
Mm.
we need those wins to do it, and we just need to celebrate it because, like you said, the world makes things nasty, period, and different stuff. But when that happens, celebrate that. Go out for dinner, like, go shopping for what kind of pads you like. There's so
Ah.
many different brands. There's so many different stuff. Like, do you like this color, this color? I like the store brand that's on sale, but it's just like, I'm open if they had a particular taste. But it's just like, making an experience. And I feel like you mentioned earlier, Lewis, that you were just so happy that your ex was open to like letting you go to bowling if it wasn't for those other things out of her control. And that was the big
Yeah.
positive change, that you got to see the intention was there. So it's like, I feel like in some way your daughter,
Yeah.
knowing that dad did all this research, knowing that dad's taking me to get the heating pad, to get all these stuff, and he's part of this, is gonna see your intentions is like, yo, this is not it's bad. It sucks. My cramps hurt. I'm tired. I don't want to go to school. But my
Uh,
dad got my back. Like, he's over understanding what I'm going through the best he can, and he's supporting me in all these ways. So I think the same way you saw your ex intention, your daughter will see your intentions, and it'll come out like the same positive way.
Oh, I 100% agree with that, Quinn. Absolutely.
hopefully.
It'll
Yeah.
happen. You guys are the best. Your kids are so lucky. And on that note, I'm sorry, but we have to end because I know Christy 7:30, right? So
Yeah.
you guys
Yeah.
are awesome. I
Yeah.
hope I get to speak with you guys again. Be well. You're amazing. Christy. Aren't they
Yes.
awesome, Christy?
No,
best
thank
dads
you
ever.
guys for being able to hold space for each other. My son says goodbye. I love when parents are able, or dads are able, to just speak to each other about, their relative spaces. We are looking to, as well, we only have one more month to go, but hopefully the council will continue working in partnership with the district to hold spaces for more dads, and, create these different friendships and places and people who are going through what you're going through. I see Lewis is giving out his info. He is always everywhere.
Yes.
So if
Please
you
hit
need
me
an
up.
advocate to roll with, Lewis is down for the cause.
Got you, girl.
Thank you so much for this.